The message arrived at Winterfell carried by a black raven from the south. War again. In the Great Hall of Winterfell, Eddard Stark broke the seal bearing the crowned stag of Robert Baratheon. The words were direct and unmistakable. The Iron Islands had risen in rebellion. Balon Greyjoy had crowned himself king and burned the Lannister fleet at Lannisport. The realm was going to war again. Ned Stark had known peace for nearly a decade since Robert's rebellion ended. But the North had not forgotten how quickly peace could vanish. He folded the letter slowly, his expression calm but heavy with duty. Winter was always coming. In the courtyard of Winterfell lived the quiet reminder of a secret. Ned carried since the end of the last war a dark-haired boy named Jon Snow. The child was growing fast, already showing the solemn nature of the Starks. But inside the castle walls his presence was not welcomed by everyone. Ned's wife, Catelyn Stark, had never been able to accept the boy. Jon's existence reminded her of a past she could never fully understand. To her, he was proof that during the war Ned had fathered a child with another woman. Though Ned treated Jon with quiet affection, the tension between Catelyn and the boy never truly faded. But when the Raven from King's Landing arrived, family tensions became secondary. The North was being called to war. Ned Stark did what every Lord of Winterfell had done for thousands of years. He summoned the banners. Ravens flew across the vast lands of the North carrying a simple command. The Warden of the North was calling his lords. And the North would answer. From the far eastern coasts came the ships and men of House Manderly of White Harbor, led by Wyman Manderly, whose wealth and fleets made him one of the most powerful lords of the region. From the frozen lands near the wall rode the warriors of House Umber, commanded by the enormous and fierce Great Umber, a man whose booming voice and battlefield fury had already become legendary among northern warriors. From the ancient forests of the Wolfswood came the proud men of House Glover, sworn to Winterfell and hardened by generations of defending the western coasts from iron-born raids. From Carhold rode the warriors of House Karstark, distant kin of the Starks, who traced their bloodline back to the same ancient kings of winter. From Barrowlands came the riders of House Dustin, their banners rising again as they had during Robert's rebellion. But among the most feared of the northern bannermen were the warriors of Bear Island. Their lord was Jorah Mormont in later years, but at the time of the rebellion the island had recently been ruled by his son Jorah Mormont, a fierce warrior who had already proven himself in battle. The Mormonts were famous throughout the north for their relentless courage. Their island was poor, their lands harsh, but their warriors fought like the bears on their banners, fierce, stubborn, and fearless. One northern saying captured their reputation perfectly: Bear Island knows no king but the king in the north. As the armies gathered outside Winterfell, the courtyard filled with the sounds of armor, horses, and sharpening steel. Banners snapped in the cold wind, direwolves, bears, giants, mermen, and crossed axes. The north was moving again. At the head of it all stood Ned Stark, quiet and resolute. The same man who had marched south years before to overthrow a king. This time he rode not for rebellion but for the defense of the realm. And beside the gates of Winterfell, a young boy named Jon Snow watched the army depart, unaware that the war now beginning would one day shape the fate of his own life. The North had answered the call, and when the banners of Winterfell marched to war, the world remembers an ancient truth: winter is not the only thing that comes from the North. War does too.